When you think of a reputation, what comes to mind? A first impression? A review? A recommendation? Those are good visual layers, but there's a deeper one that most people aren't even aware of. That layer is where true reputations actually form, in the moments when no one is watching. By the end of this video, you'll understand what this means, how business you've probably never heard of master this, and how you can use this for your own business. A lot of us build reputations reactively. We respond to reviews, make posts when things go well, and always try to show up when there's someone watching. It's what most of us believe counts as the actual work, and most of us just stop right there. But Pal Sutton Service, a Tennessee fast food chain, figured something out that most businesses almost never do. That the reputation doing the most work for you is the one that you're building while never thinking about it at all. Pal's is a small drive-thru chain scattered across Kingsport, Tennessee. And in an industry of teenage part-timers, brutal turnover, and low pay, good enough is the usual standard of their competitors. But Pal's decided to go for something different. Instead of seeking profits or brand recognition, they instead focus on a simple standard: to never get an order wrong. Every new hire completes 120 hours of training before they're allowed to work alone. Every single task requires its own certification. And every leader at Pal's, including the CEO, spends part of every day personally coaching one specific skill to one specific employee. No exceptions, not even at the top. With this much discipline, most probably imagine their management as watchdogs lurking behind every worker, but they don't do that. And if you're a solopreneur like me, you know exactly how liberating that is. There's no one standing on every corner at Pal's, and what they actually do to keep their standard comes up a bit later. As a result of their work, they now have a mess-up rate of about once every 3,600 transactions, which is 10 times better than the industry average. In 2001, they became the first restaurant chain in American history to win the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. They joined a list of successful companies with big names like the Ritz-Carlton and Federal Express. And Harvard Business School has written multiple case studies trying to explain their success. Overall, no one at Pal set out to build their reputation from the beginning. They only set out to never get an order wrong. The reputation that resulted just happened to appear on the way there. Think about a security camera in the store. Even a fake one that isn't even plugged in changes how people react to it the moment they notice it. Nobody has to be watching. Just believing they might be is enough to change the behavior. To understand how this all happens, we can look at a bit of psychology that's behind it. In the 1920s, there was a finding called the Hawthorne effect, where researchers noticed something strange. Worker performance went up whenever someone came to watch them, then dropped right back down when they left the room. People perform differently when they know they're being watched. A natural reaction to how we work as social beings. Here's another way to think about it. Any chef can cook well when a critic is at the table. The real test is the version of them cooking 3 weeks later, alone on a slow Tuesday with no one there watching. That gap between performing under watch and holding the same standard regardless is exactly what Pal's figured out how to close. The fake security camera works because of the possibility of being watched, not the certainty. Pal's doesn't use a camera, fake or real. What they have instead is a kitchen that runs as if a critic is always there. No micromanaging, no one checking every interaction. Their numbers just don't move either way. This is because they realize that a reputation isn't only built in the moments when someone's watching. It's built in the repeated, boring moments when no one's around at all. It's when the version of us that shows up when no one's taking notes eventually becomes the only one that anyone remembers at all. The easy read of all this is that it only applies to businesses with obvious quality problems. But that's rarely where the gap actually lives. If you have parts in your back-end work that's inconsistent, sloppy, or just average, that doesn't stay hidden forever. Like air underwater, it eventually surfaces. In an offhand comment, in a project that almost went well, and the gap between how good you are on a sales call and how you are in the middle of the actual work. The performance we give when someone's watching us is never the real test. The test is what holds up when we're working in between those interactions. So when thinking about how to put this into practice, the real question isn't how do we get people to look at us? It's what's the one thing in my business that if I never let slip up, even when no one's watching, would eventually become impossible to ignore. For you, that might be something like response time, accuracy, or just doing exactly what you say you'll do when you'll do it with no exceptions otherwise. You just need to pick one thing. Palace didn't try to be great at everything. They just decided that their bag was never going to be wrong and built everything else around protecting that one decision, whether or not they were being watched. In my case, working with a lot of clients in the tech space shows a pretty common pattern that happens. Someone comes to me convinced that they need something big, like an expensive system with all the latest trends that they've seen online. And the easy move for me would be to just say yes and just build exactly what they asked for. But I don't do that. I always like to sit down, have a chat, and first figure out exactly what they're trying to solve. And more times than not, that conversation often leads me to telling them that they don't need the big system that they think they do. There's often a smaller, cheaper option that solves their problem more efficiently that I always point out to consider. Nobody's standing over my shoulder and making me do that. There's no client watching me decide which option to recommend where they don't even know those options exist. And it technically costs me money every time I recommend something where I make less. But I'd rather be the person who told the truth about what's actually needed than be the person who tries to snake a few extra bucks along the way. And that's because only one of those people earns returning clients and good referrals. That's it. No louder marketing, just a standard small enough to actually hold, applied whether or not anyone's watching you, for long enough that it eventually catches up with you. The same way it did for a small burger chain that no one was paying attention to until they eventually were. So back to the original question. When you think of your own reputation, what comes to mind? Because somewhere right now, a potential client is forming one about your own business. Not based on what you've posted or what you've said, but based on the layer that you don't usually think about. The moments when no one is watching. House never tried to be famous. They just decided that their bag was never going to be wrong, whether anyone was watching or not. And the reputation as a result showed up on its own. Your reputation doesn't wait for you to be ready to manage it. It's being built in every interaction, every unwatched moment, and every standard that you either keep or slip on. The only question is whether the version being built represents who you are, or just who you are when someone happens to be watching.